Hi class. I decided to do a watercolor video for you guys, and I've set up a table, all right, to give you an idea of how I would arrange a table to make a watercolor. And I'm going to talk about a few of the components on the table. So the watercolor I'm going to attempt to make is, that tree from that drawing done at dusk, and I'm going to eliminate the trees behind it. Okay, I'm not going to paint any trees behind it, the green. I'm going to paint it actually as open sky. Now, I have an interesting sketchbook, which is full of, drawings that I made to do this project, basically. I might have shown it to you at one point, but it's a series of studies. If you look carefully, you can see in my notation that I'm actually starting to talk about colors I might mix. This is as the sun sets, cloud studies, what they're doing. How the branches in the trees allow light to enter, what kind of bushes are in the foreground. It was in a driveway. Then I turned it into a contour drawing, simply a contour line drawing that I was going to transfer to a watercolor paper. And it went on for, I believe, 3 pages. Yeah, so that's the full contour of it. And here are some more notes on color. Oranges, pinks, blue, green, yellows, where those are taking place. Now, I want to move over here. I want to look at some of the brushes that I have put out for you guys. All of these brushes are good wash brushes. All right, that's the way we describe them. They will do large areas. They go from the very inexpensive, purchase that I made probably at like Michael's. Probably came in a set. It's a 3-inch brush. This one's even bigger. This is, I believe, about a 4-inch brush. This is one of the more expensive brushes I own. In fact, it's so old that it's cracked. I actually put screws in it to keep it together. It occasionally sheds hair. It's squirrel hair. Here's another version. A black velvet brush. This is fairly expensive. It's a round, and it carries a lot because it's so thick with hairs. It'll take a lot of watercolor. This is a synthetic rather than a natural hair. A little less expensive. It's nylon fabric. This is a 3-inch brush that is also a synthetic. I won't use that one tonight, but just wanted you to see that option. I might use this though. It's about 1.5 inches for that size paper. It's actually the right size to work with. Now, if you notice, with each one of these colors, I've done like washes. The washes are fairly thin. There's not a lot of color in each one, all right? As I move it around, you can kind of tell. But I've made sure to blend all the color so that there's no large amounts of color left behind in there. Now, there's a few things hanging around in the cerulean blue. I'll probably give that a little bit of a swish. I actually keep an extra brush. So I'll walk over now to that. And what I do is I just keep swirling it around. It's a little hard since I've only got one free hand. But you're looking for pieces of cerulean floating in there because you don't want that turning up in your washes. And if you look at it, it's really thin. But that can be very effective once it dries. And here's a deeper blue for the top of the sky. One thing I do, or try to do, is after I use my brushes, especially my mixing brush, I'll always empty, I'll always clean it out. Clean out your mixing brush. Now, let's take a quick look at the drawing itself. Sorry, I have to move that around a little bit. So I made a contour line drawing, okay, from the other drawing, which I'll get now. So I made a contour line drawing of that, all right? So I'm just trying to approximate the branches themselves, and I'm gonna do something that's a little bit interesting. I'm gonna paint right over the top of it. And you'll notice that it doesn't matter. That later, when I put the black over the top of it, you won't even notice it. Or the black or the dark gray of the trees. Okay. So, let's see what we have here. Now I'm going to work straight. And if you look carefully, I went beyond. I'm going to grab a new brush for the second coat. Grab some of this. And I'm going to move that across as I go. I'm going to go up for a third brush. Grab a little bit of the yellow. I'm going to take a different brush now and just kind of balance things out. Maybe pull a little bit of the extra water out as I go. Sweep it to the side. And apply some blue. I'm going to try the cerulean. Get a little more of that. And after I have the cerulean, I might even just grab the regular darker blue across the top. Now, I clean this in there. I want to get rid of any residue I have. In fact, I have more rinse buckets than anything else here. I want to make sure my brushes stay clean. I'm going to tap it out here on the tap. Tap it also out on the paper so it's kind of clean. And then I'm just going to get the excess water. You'll notice that sorry about that. Some of the fibers move. And I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. And then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add another coat. I'm probably going to pull some of that color around. I want to see how it dries and see what it looks like. Now let me walk you over to my painting wall. I put 2 watercolors up that I did a long time ago. The one on the top is a study I did of a sunset outside on a table. All right, and I just kept it because it's a really good study. It's a really good way to understand how to go about making a transfer drawing and getting your color before you move it into your studio and you start to work on a finished painting. This one's incomplete, but I've always kept it as a teaching tool. Gives you a little bit of idea about how that I'm going to go about things. Now, if you notice in the top drawing, the pencil lines, that's like a hard black pencil. I don't even really care that it's messy. I'm just working fast. I'm trying to make, really dark and light values, trying to figure out where the forms are. I'm not really considering, a finished drawing that's really a neat and clean finished drawing. I'm making a few notations. Eventually I put a grid on it, which you see at the bottom. And when I put the grid on it, I actually transferred it. And if you look closely to this, you can see the grid on that. It's a different type of paper. If you notice, it has a certain texture to it. That's a rough press. The paper in the word I'm working on right now is hot press, which is smooth. And also look at the lines. I probably made this with like a 4H pencil or a 5H pencil. Look at how thin they are. And I used, vanishing points. I found my vanishing points. Okay, I was using linear perspective to kind of render my buildings. So if you see that dot there in the middle where those vanishing points are, that's my height in the scene, seen from back on the road. So that's basically how I would start one. And I wanted you to see that there's a lot of work. There's a lot of alienated labor that you guys don't get to see. So I basically went outside and spent, 3 or 4 days outside, maybe 3 nights a week, making a study in order to take that study into my studio and make a finished painting out of it. And, that's how I began one.